Hello everyone, I'm The Real Rookie, just a guy who's trying to keep it real. Before I get started with the main topic of this video, I have a few updates I want to announce. The first update is that I have changed my introduction to focus more on the mascot of my channel, which is my reel-to-reel machine. I also changed my intro because YouTube copyright claimed my last video, which is most likely due to my use of copyrighted music throughout that video. The song I used in my previous video was Can't Take My Eyes Off of You by Frank Valli and the Four Seasons, just in case you were wondering. I usually don't worry about using copyrighted music in my videos because I'm not getting money for this YouTube stuff. I'm really just doing this for fun and to talk about stuff that I like. But removing copyrighted music in my intro will help me in the long run, just in case my channel becomes eligible for monetization in the future. The second update is that I'm not sure how long I'm going to make music reviews. I'm not even sure if I will continue doing music reviews. It's not that I don't like doing them, it's more so that music is hard for me to describe and review. Unless it's something like a concept album, it will be difficult for me to describe the music besides saying, "Duh, it's good!" I'm just better off doing what I feel I'm good at, which would be reviewing films. That doesn't mean I'm going to completely stop talking about music though. What I'm going to do is put a Google Doc in the description of every video from now on. The Google Doc consists of all the bands and artists I like to listen to. This way, if I stop making music reviews, you at least have an idea of the music I like to listen to and talk about. My third and final update is answering the big question that everyone wants to know. Why was I gone so long? There are a few reasons for that. Number 1, life. Number 2, storage space. You see, all my videos up till this point were recorded with this iPhone 6s. iPhones don't really have that much storage space. You see this? This is the amount of storage space I have left on my phone. This is barely enough for me to record 6 minutes of video. Now, keep in mind, some of my videos, or at least some of my future videos, will go up to maybe 10 to 15 minutes. That time constraint is not going to slide, especially when I'm recording multiple shots of this machine and other various things about the machine and other things in my room, or I guess my recording studio is what you'd call it? I don't know. Just having multiple shots like this, it makes it hard to constantly delete files and transfer files to my computer, and it's aggravating. Obviously, this is a problem for me. In order to counteract the storage space problem, I decided to buy a GoPro Hero 7. I had to save up a bit for this camera and accessories for it, and that's what was really holding me back from making my videos this whole time. That doesn't mean you'll get a video every week though. I will try my best to post a video every month, but I can't make any promises. Okay, update's over. Now to get into the main subject of this video. I was debating whether or not I should make this video because everyone who is even remotely into music has already heard of this format. But I thought that if I was going to start talking about old tech like this, and especially this, then I have to start from somewhere. And what better place to start with than from the beginning? Or at least as close to the beginning as you're going to get with my channel. Now, records aren't the first music storage format, nor are they the oldest. That honor goes to the wax cylinder, which was invented by Thomas Edison in 1888. But I'm jumping straight to records because it's currently the oldest music format that we still use today. This video isn't going to be an in-depth look at the technology behind records or a discussion of how they work or anything like that. You can find tons of videos about that stuff on YouTube. Most of these real texts will be my personal stories on various audio and video formats, and advice for new collectors of said formats. In later videos, I will go into the other aspects of technology I talk about though. Records are a very personal format to me. They were the format that opened my eyes to the world of collecting. And I'm not just talking about music. Pretty much all of the formats and mediums of playing music, movies, and video games that I've collected over the years can all be attributed to my start with records. Records are just a really interesting format as well. Everything about them, to their sheer size, to how they work, is just super interesting to me. If you're an older viewer that grew up in a time period where records were the dominant format to listen to your music on, then this might sound surprising to you. Keep in mind that this is from the perspective of a 20-year-old who didn't grow up in a time where records were the dominant music format. I first got into records when I was about 16. My parents and I were cleaning out an area under our carport, and we found a turntable and a case full of 45 RPM records. Turns out that this turntable belonged to my mother's father. I was immediately drawn to the turntable. My first thoughts when I saw it were, that thing's old, but it looks cool, and I wonder if it still works, and I just really want to plug it in. Even when I was younger, I was into like older formats. Not necessarily older. I was just into older stuff. I really liked old cars, and watching TV shows with old cars in them and stuff. I just loved it. It's just something I was interested in back then. I was just interested in old stuff. Now, what surprised me whenever I plugged in the record player is that it worked. Of course, when I found out that it worked, my mother was opposed to me keeping it. She was all like, it's old, it's junk, we don't really need that in the house, it's big, it's heavy. Why would you want something so old? Why would you want something that you have to maintenance or put all this work into to keep it up? And I was just like, Mom, please, no, I gotta have it. Your little spoiled brat just needs this stuff right now, this stuff from the 70s that nobody uses. And so she finally gave in to my demands, and I got to keep the turntable. From there, my interest in records just kept growing. I bought some records at the local flea market because I wasn't really interested in the music that was on the 45 RPM records that came with the turntable. Most of the genres of music on those records were folk, Cajun, and country music. If you want an idea of what type of music I like to listen to, I've already told you about the Google Doc I've linked in the description. I started listening to records on this old beat-up BSR 70s turntable through the quarter-inch headphone jack on the front. When I heard my first record, I was pretty impressed with the sound. It sounded pretty darn good to me, but it wasn't really blowing me away. It didn't sound horrible, but it wasn't like mind-blowing or anything. It wasn't a revelation, but it did surprise me just how good it did sound. I thought that because the turntable I was using was old, I could do something to fix or improve the sound. So, in order to do that, I just started doing a bunch of research on records and record players and what you can do to make them sound better or give them that optimum punch or optimum device for your record player, turntable, to make them sound good. I did all these things. YouTube was the first place I looked, and that's where I discovered all these retro technology YouTube channels. Channels like Vinylize, V Westlife, Technology Connections, Anna Dialogue, Databits, and Techmoan. Check those guys out, by the way. Their content is great. I'll link to their channels in the description. Anyway, I found out that one thing you could do to make the sound even better is that the stylus, or the needle, could be worn out, and you might just need to replace it. So that's what I did. I bought a stylus for this turntable, which they still make, and it did sound better, but it didn't blow me away. Again, I just knew the records could sound better. That turntable, it was old, it had poor sound quality, and just overall was really cheap. Even when it was brand new, it was a poor piece of home audio equipment. So, I decided to upgrade. From my research of how to make my vinyl records sound better, I found out through the videos and different YouTube channels that companies still make brand new turntables. Companies like Technics, Sony, Panasonic, Audio-Technica, and many others never left the turntable scene whenever records were starting to decline in popularity in the late 70s. After a bit of looking around and hearing advice from YouTubers, mainly Vinylize, I'm a bit biased here, I saved up some money and bought this. This is the Audio-Technica AT-LP120. That is a mouthful. It has been my turntable for 4 years and I absolutely love it. I don't think I'll ever need another turntable again. It just does everything I need it to do. I chose this model for two reasons: the price and its features. It was about $250 when I bought it, but I'm pretty sure you can buy this model cheaper nowadays on Amazon. But I might have to double check that. I think they've discontinued it. Now, that is a lot of money to spend just to listen to music. But I will direct you to cheaper options later on in this video if you want to collect records on a budget. There are many reasons why I collect records. And to be honest, it's not for the sound quality. Yes, records do sound good, and by that I don't just mean good. Records can sound amazing, but the sound quality you get from a record is not as good as what you will get on a CD. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. One of the main reasons I collect records is for their size. Records are huge. They measure 12 inches in diameter. You could see that as a plus or a minus. I see it as a plus, mostly. Because they are so big, you can see much more detail in the artwork that you might not have noticed on the cover of a CD. The extra room in the packaging also allows for the artist to get more creative with how they want to promote the album. Sometimes the record sleeve that comes with the album has lyrics or extra art printed on it. Sometimes you get posters in the record jacket as well. Sometimes the record jacket opens up to reveal more artwork. With an object of this size, the possibilities are endless for what the artist wants to display or include with the album. The only real downside I see to the size is organization. Records may be large, but they are also very thin. Because records are so thin, that means the packaging is thin. This also means that they don't have enough space to make the words easily readable on the spine of the record jacket. Because of this, I have to organize my records by putting all the albums I have in a Google Doc. I alphabetize the albums by artist, then order the albums from one particular artist by date. I never flip through the records to see what I want to listen to because it'll just take way too long. If I want to listen to a record, I will open up the Google Doc and decide what I want to listen to. Another reason I like to collect records is that some music was only released on vinyl records. Sure, I could go to YouTube and look up the obscure album I want to listen to, but that is only listening to the music. If I want to own the music on a physical format, I will have to get the vinyl record. Some music was released on other formats like CD, but sometimes a CD copy of an album will be much more expensive than a vinyl record copy of the same album. I also love records for their aesthetics. A decent turntable with a record spinning on top makes for a nice interactive display in your home. Records also look really cool while being played. They look even cooler if the record has an interesting pattern on it. Records also have a level of interactivity that I have never experienced with any other music format. I'm not talking about the act of playing a record. I'm referring to what you can do with the sound itself. Records are super versatile with what you can do with the sound recorded on them. What does that mean? It means that you can do things like this with them. I personally think that's really cool. Artists even use record spinning techniques like this to produce new music from pre-existing music recorded on vinyl records. Sure, you can do almost all these effects with a digital program, but you just don't get this level of interactivity with something like that. If you want to start collecting vinyl records, you can find brand new albums at any store that sells music and pretty much any online store. But new records can be a bit pricey. If you want to save money, then buy used records. Every record I own is used, and they are in great condition and they sound great as well. Don't feel left out of the record collecting circle because you want to save a little cash. You can find used records at almost any flea market. If you don't have a place to buy used records where you live, you can take the online route. The two best websites I have found to buy used records from are eBay and Discogs. I'll leave links to those websites in the description. Oh, but wait a minute. We're missing one crucial part to the record collecting experience. A turntable. You can't listen to records without a turntable. So, what options do you have? Like I said before, there are still companies that make turntables. I usually buy from Audio-Technica, but any big brand name will do, like Sony, Panasonic, or Technics, just to name a few. You can buy an older turntable if you want, but then you have to worry about maintenance and other stuff, so I would just recommend buying a brand new turntable. Don't buy anything that looks cheaply made, like the Crosley Cruiser line of turntables. I'm telling you this because I want you to have the best possible listening experience with your records. Keep in mind, I'm not a hi-fi audio enthusiast or an audiophile or anything like that. I don't spend hundreds or thousands of dollars on audio equipment to get good sound out of the formats I use. I usually buy my stuff for reasonable prices. I'll discuss more of that stuff in later videos when I start talking about buying used products. The turntables I recommend you pick from if you want to just experience records without getting too deep into the hobby are the Audio-Technica AT-LP60 or the Audio-Technica AT-LP60X. Both are pretty inexpensive turntables that don't require much setup and have excellent sound quality. If you want to get serious about record collecting, like me, then I would recommend the Audio-Technica AT-LP120 or the Audio-Technica AT-LP120X, which is the newer model. They do cost a bit more than the other turntables I've listed, but that's because you're paying for extra features and better build quality. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there's a reason you're paying that much for them. They also require a bit more setup than the AT-LP60 and the AT-LP60X, but I'm pretty sure that if you are interested in records, then you won't mind that too much. And again, the sound quality on these turntables is great. You can buy these turntables on Amazon, which I will link to in the description. Gosh darn, I said that so many times already! Your heads are probably about to explode from hearing me say link in the description over 50 times. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'm The Real Rookie, and it's been real.